In the update 1.101 new power teaser, Gaijin showed off a lot of new stuff. Modern carriers, new MBTs, and even a nuke. But most of interest to me is the opening shot. Deep in the fog, you can just barely make out some large ships, though it's difficult to tell exactly what they are. With some changes to the contrast and matching up stuff like hulls and masts, my Discord's members managed to figure out what the ships seem to be. Naval, Gangut, Dante, Kawachi, and HMS Dreadnought. These aren't fully confirmed, however I do think that's what the ships are from the visual analysis and how close they are to each other in power. So, it seems like Dreadnought battleships are coming, which gives a lot to talk about and go through. First, it's worth looking through the rough specifications of every single one shown. The Nassau is German and uses 12 11-inch guns, has 12 6-inch and 16 88mm secondary guns, a top speed of 35 km per hour, and a pretty thick armor belt that's around 300mm thick at its thickest. The Gangut is Russian and uses 12 12-inch guns, has 16 4.7-inch and a single 3-inch secondary gun, a top speed of 41 km per hour, and a belt that's around 225mm at its thickest. The Dante is Italian and uses 12 12-inch guns, has 20 4.7-inch and 13 3-inch secondary guns, a top speed of 41 km per hour, and a belt that's around 250mm at the thickest. Next up is Kawachi, which is Japanese and uses 12 12-inch guns, has 10 6-inch, 8 4.7-inch, and 12 3-inch guns as secondaries, a top speed of 39 km per hour, and a belt that's around 305mm at its thickest. Last is HMS Dreadnought, which is British and uses 10 12-inch guns, has 26 3-inch guns as secondaries, a top speed of 39 km per hour, and a belt that's around 279mm at the thickest. Overall, it's hard to tell which ship will be best, however they all have some common specifications. All of them are incredibly slow compared to our current top ships, but they have high armor to compensate. Lastly is their secondary armament, which is incredibly lacking in anti-air capabilities to say the least. It seems like these ships will be the first tier 6 vessels in Naval and will probably start at battle rating 6.0. Personally, I think 6.3 would be more appropriate for them, with 5.7 being split into 5.7 and 6.0, but it seems like that's not happening. As far as balance goes, these will likely be the top dogs in Naval, though by what margin depends on a lot of decisions Gaijin makes with them. These Dreadnoughts should be incredibly resistant to 6-inch fire, though some 8-inch guns should still be a threat to them. Based on this, I think Japanese and German heavy cruisers should still retain some use against them. American and Italian heavy cruisers will struggle to do much at all due to their exceptionally poor accuracy, and with British heavy cruisers having SAP rather than full AP, they may not be able to penetrate the armored belts at most ranges. Most light cruisers won't be very useful against these ships either, so these really are making a lot of previously top tier ships incredibly weak by virtue of their armor alone. The low mobility of these Dreadnoughts does make them more vulnerable against torpedoes, which is another advantage for the Japanese cruisers. It also significantly hampers their performance in enduring confrontation, though in most random matches it should have a minimal effect. As far as firepower goes, it's difficult to say how well they will perform. Gaijin heavily nerfed 11-inch damage after the addition of the Graf Spee, though it may be buffed back with these coming out. They'll also likely have better accuracy than the Graf Spee, since I don't think Gaijin wants to make a new class of ships dead on arrival with that kind of nerf. The fire rate of these guns varies from about 1.5 to 3 shells per minute, though it's hard to predict what kind of fire rate Gaijin is going to give them. If these perform how they should realistically, most current cruisers will struggle to survive more than 2 or 3 full salvos. Overall, Dreadnoughts are a pretty large power jump from the current cruisers. It's not as large as the battle cruisers people have been asking for, but this will certainly shake up top tier's balance a lot. Personally, I think the top battle rating should have been moved up before this, since currently almost every cruiser will be facing Dreadnoughts that most of them are completely unable to meaningfully damage. There are also some other ramifications to consider. We'll probably be getting Tier 5 premiums now, since Tier 6 is likely to be added with this, and Gaijin will want to sell new expensive premiums for grinding them. This also moves the top tier of aircraft allowed into Naval up, and with no limiter to what aircraft can appear, we may start seeing things like Arado jet bombers in Naval soon. Paired with the low anti-air weaponry of these new Dreadnoughts, I think Gaijin may need to consider adding a max battle rating for aircraft to prevent overly powerful jets from getting into Naval matches. My personal opinion on these is that they're being added a bit too early. I really think that we should be getting some battle rating and economy rebalances before introducing Dreadnoughts. It's also a bit sad that unintroduced cruisers like the New Orleans, Baltimore, Takao, and others will never get to be in their prime. These Dreadnoughts are so far above those ships in power that they would only serve as alright backups at best, and we're likely to never get decompression that will keep them from facing each other constantly. It's a bit of a shame that so many cruisers will be irrelevant both now and in the future due to this patch. Overall, it makes the grind to viable top ships much worse too. Previously, you could grind all the way to top PR light cruisers using destroyers with no research penalty. Now, players will have to go all the way through light cruisers and heavy cruisers while facing top tier battle rating dreadnoughts almost every match to finally get their new top ships. It's going to make the grind much worse for anyone who isn't already in tier 5, since now you'll have to go all the way through tiers 4 and 5 while constantly getting clubbed by dreadnoughts. The ships themselves should be pretty fun though, assuming Gaijin doesn't do anything strange with their implementation. I'm both cautiously optimistic and dreading it, since the meta is never going to be the same. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Naval content.